Top story of the day. It's the Daily Special.
It was another great night, or great afternoon, I guess is a better way to describe it. Another great start for Zac Gallen in what has been a string of great starts since the trade deadline. 7 times since the trade deadline, Zac Gallen has taken the mound for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and he's sporting a 4-1 record with a 2.20 ERA. Ace-like numbers from Zac Gallen since the trade deadline. Since the Diamondbacks went full-blown sale mode, held on to Zac Gallen because they didn't like the offers that they got, knowing that they could put the qualifying offer on him. He's gone 4-1 with a 2.20 ERA in 7 starts, and his last 2 starts have been brilliant. 6 scoreless in each of his last 2 appearances for the Diamondbacks. He's been an ace. There is no argument that over his last 7 starts, this is the Zac Gallen that we expect to see on the mound. This is the Zac Gallen that we all want to see on the mound. And let's face it, this is the Zac Gallen that the Diamondbacks should make every effort to bring back for next season. There, I said it. The Diamondbacks should make it a priority right now to work out a long-term contract extension with Zac Gallen. He is showing you over these last 7 starts that he has not grown tired of Arizona. This is not a case of him needing a change of scenery and needing new voices to tell him things in order to get back to being the pitcher that we all know he can be, because he's doing it in Arizona. He's doing it with the same voices who have been talking to him all season long, and he has been dominant over the last 7 starts. And this is a guy the Diamondbacks need in this rotation next year. And so I want to make the case to all of you today that for a team that this year, payroll of $187 million spent on players, not luxury tax money, but actual dollars handed out to players, a payroll of $187 million. Going to see that number go down to about 106 right now is the running tally for next season before they've made any additions. And we know they're not going to be able to spend $187 million. I think I would make it a priority, if I was Mike Hazen, to use a large chunk, if not all, of the money available to me to get Zac Gallen back. And here's why I feel so strongly about this today. His recent stretch of play obviously matters in all of this. He's pitching like an ace. And I don't even think if you signed him to a long-term contract extension that you need him to pitch this well next season. Would be great. I think it would change how we feel about where this team can go next season if you're going to get this Zac Gallen every 5 days. But I don't think he needs to be this good to warrant bringing back next season. He just needs to be better than he was in the first half, and he's been that since the trade deadline. But the other reason why I would throw the money at Zac Gallen is you're going to have limited resources this offseason. I don't know what the final number is going to end up being. I don't know what exactly Mike Hazen is going to have to spend. I just know it's not going to be a lot. I know it's not going to be the type of money he's been throwing around the last couple of seasons. So he's going to have to be very deliberate and precise in who he goes after. So why wouldn't you choose to allocate most of, if not all of the resources that you have at your disposal on a guy that you know extremely well? You're not throwing a dart at the dartboard, picking a starter in free agency that you don't know really anything about. A starter that you're guessing that inside of your system, in your building with your coaching, is going to be the best version of themselves. Why not bet on the guy who has been the best version of himself with you, has been the best version of himself right now for you? Why take the risk on signing somebody in free agency and giving them maybe a medium-term deal, and you don't know how they're going to pitch in Arizona? I know how Zac Gallen is going to pitch in Arizona. I know how Zac Gallen is going to deal with the ups and downs of the baseball season. I know what Zac Gallen is about. I know his temperament. I know how he fits in my clubhouse. I don't know if a free agent pitcher can fit in my clubhouse the way Zac Gallen can. I don't know that. I know it about Zac Gallen. And when you are in the business trying to put together a 26-man roster to try to be relevant and compete, You've got to put the right pieces together, and you have to pick the right people. And when you have limited resources in the way that Mike Hazen and the Diamondbacks are going to have this offseason, you better be sure that the players you're bringing in make sense, because you don't have the wiggle room that you had 2 years ago to admit that signing Jordan Montgomery was a mistake and then being able to go out there and sign Corbin Burns. You pick a starter in the offseason, because I think we both agree, you, the listener, me, that starting pitching a main priority for this team this offseason, that you feel like they don't have the internal options to fix that rotation, that they're going to have to look external. So why look external? Why not just bring back the guy? Why not re-sign Zac Gallen to a deal to bring in somebody that you know, that you're comfortable with, that's been great as of late, and allows you to go focus on all the other things that you need to focus on this offseason? This team's going to spend money. It's going to be very limited, but they're going to spend money. We think they need 2 starters. They could potentially need a first baseman. They now need a left fielder in the wake of Lourdes Gurriel's injury. Who's playing third? Who's playing center? All the questions that I have about the 2026 Diamondbacks. I can look internal for many of those answers. Who's playing third? It's going to be some combination of Blaze Alexander and or Jordan Lawler. And boy, do I have some more thoughts on Jordan Lawler coming up a little bit later on in the show, because I'm red hot today about that. Again, after we learned absolutely nothing yesterday about why he wasn't in that game. Unless I missed something, but I was online a lot yesterday. I was in the weeds on the internet trying to find somebody that said anything about why Jordan Lawler wasn't in that game yesterday. Couldn't find a peep. Couldn't find a mention of Jordan Lawler. Searched Jordan Lawler's name on Twitter yesterday. I saw tweets about people having his baseball card. Nothing about why he wasn't in the lineup yesterday in that game. Third base going to be some combination of Jordan Lawler and Blaze Alexander. Blaze Alexander, if not at third, certainly helps you solve your outfield problem. Could play center, probably could play some left, has shown his athleticism, and is a guy that right now I want to find a way to play every single day. First base, could it be Pavin Smith? Could it be Tyler Locklear? Could it be Adrian Del Castillo? I've got internal choices there. I've got internal options at a lot of those positions. You know where I don't have internal options? I don't have internal options with my starting pitching. So that's where I'm going to devote many of my resources. And so I'm already committing myself as an organization to spend money on my starters this offseason. Why wouldn't I spend money on a guy that I know? Zac Gallen, for all his warts, is the surest bet that Mike Hazen and the Diamondbacks can make when it comes to addressing their starting pitching woes. They're going to walk into the offseason with 2 openings on their roster, 2 openings in their rotation. While they wait for their prospects to develop and be ready to contribute to this big league club, they have to have stopgaps. Why wouldn't you make one of those stopgaps a guy that you know can thrive here, that you know has handled everything about being an Arizona Diamondback, and again, is pitching some of the best baseball we've seen him pitch in a really long time over his last 7 starts?
What's the saying? It's sometimes the devil you know is better than the devil you don't.
Exactly. The devil you know in this case is a flawed Zac Gallen. This is not ace Zac Gallen anymore, although he's pitching like it. Although if this is the version that the Diamondbacks are signing up for, I'll take it. I think we'd all love this version of Zac Gallen over 30 starts. I don't think we're going to get it, but he's been very good since the trade deadline. Now, he's going to demand more money because he's going to be going into the offseason on a high note. But I looked at Spotrac today. They do this market value calculation for all these pitchers, and they compare the pitchers' numbers or the players' numbers to contemporaries and other players that recently hit the market. And then they compare their stats to the group of recent contract stats, and they come up with a market value. They have the market value for Zac Gallen right now at $18.3 million. They have his market value as a 4-year, $73.5 million contract. Right now, today, you want to know how I feel? Where do I sign? That's how I feel today. Right now, today, talking about Zac Gallen, that contract, where do I take this Sharpie? I'll unclip it. Where do I sign? Because I'd sign for that. I'd sign for that right now because I know what Zac Gallen is. And maybe he's not going to be able to be a 2.2 ERA pitcher over 30 starts, but I certainly know he's going to be able to eat up innings for me. And I certainly know that it's likely that throughout the course of the season, I'll have stretches like this. I can't say the same for some of the other free agent options. And trust me, I've gone through them. None of them wow me. None of them excite me in the way that Zac Gallen does. And I get it. He's pitching well when all the pressure's off. He's pitching well in a low leverage environment right now. The team's not trying to go anywhere, although they've been great, 19-13 since the trade deadline. They've been actually pretty solid since they got rid of many of their high-prized assets at the deadline. And so I understand if you want to push back and say, Chris, he didn't do this at the beginning of the year. One of the main arguments for moving on from Zac Gallen at the end of the year was this worry that perhaps he needed a change of scenery, that he needed a new voice, that he just overstayed his welcome in Arizona. That's where we got. That, yeah, Zac was great here, was an ace at times, helped this team reach the postseason in 23, the World Series that year. Great. But it's what have you done for me lately? And you're just wondering if he's overstayed his welcome. If, you know what, the end of the season, you need a fresh start, we need a fresh start, we're going to go our separate ways. He's proving to you over these last 7 starts that he doesn't need a fresh start, that he can still be that pitcher here with this jersey at that ballpark. Now, he pitched against Colorado, he pitched against Oakland, Sacramento, Vegas, whatever we're calling them, the Guardians. I mean, he hasn't faced the top offenses. This 7 starts aren't Yankees, Mets, Dodgers, Brewers, Cubs. I mean, he's not going through a gauntlet. But back-to-back starts with 6 scoreless, a 2.2 ERA in his last 7. That's a large enough sample size that I can't ignore it. And for a team that I know is going to have to penny pinch in many ways, they're going to have to use what internal options they have to fill some of the holes, to duct tape and Band-Aid some holes here on the boat. And then they're going to have to use what limited resources they're going to have to be very targeted. The money that they use is going to have to be spent extremely well. If you're, let's say, the Yankees or the Mets, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, you can spend a ton of money. And if it doesn't work out, you can survive that. You can just spend more money because you have ownership groups that are willing to admit their faults and just pay for replacements. The Diamondbacks, for the last 2 seasons, will have not made the postseason, will not have that postseason money available to them. They're not going to have the budgets that those other teams have. They're going to have to be very targeted in what they do, and they're going to have to bat a really high average this offseason in their free agent signings. Normally, you give some teams some grace where they don't have to go perfect with their free agent signings. The Diamondbacks are going to have to go close to perfect. Limited resources, lots of holes to fill. We can't get to June of next year and say, well, they signed that left fielder to play left field in place of Lourdes Gurriel, and it just hasn't worked out. They can't afford that. That will sink any chance they have of being relevant in 2026. So why take a major risk? Why not take a smaller risk? Why not take a smaller risk on a guy that you know very well who also addresses probably what we would all say is priority number 1 for this team this offseason? With a roster, with an organization where I can fill the other holes internally. Does everybody love the options at first base right now? No, but they have options that could turn into something. They don't have options right now that can turn into something with their starting pitching, at least not right now. I don't know where Cole Drake is. I don't know where Mitch Bratt is. They might not be contributors in 2026. You hope that they are. I can't go into 2026 hoping. I got to have certainties on the roster. And I don't know if I'm going to have enough money to spend around to get 2 starters. So why not spend a lot of my money on one really great starter? So Zac Gallen's recent stretch here, these 7 starts looking just excellent, dominating. I mean, the 6 innings scoreless against the Dodgers, 6 scoreless his last time out against a Texas team that's trying to fight for that 3rd and final playoff spot in the American League. He's been bringing it. A 2.2 ERA in 7 starts since the deadline. This is an ace level run from Zac Gallen. And it's got me contemplating maybe they just go all in on bringing him back for next year. He's your number 1. Ryan Nelson's your number 2. Brandon Pfaadt's your number 3. Erod's your number 4. And then maybe you give one of the kids that 5th spot. You feel a lot better about that rotation than you do walking into next year with Ryan Nelson as your 1, Brandon Pfaadt as your 2, Eduardo Rodriguez is your 3, and I don't know who's filling 4 or 5. So I'd strongly consider all of my chips or most of my chips going all into the Zac Gallen basket here in the offseason. 480-864-1060, the phone number for you to join us here today on the program. We've also got you over on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. Matthew over there says he's been real good since there's been no pressure of making the playoffs. Where was he when we needed him? It's a fair criticism. It's fair to wonder if we're putting too much stock into a 7-game stretch here. But if he was done with Arizona, if he was thinking about moving on, if he was thinking about, I need to get out of here, I don't think we would see this type of run from him. Now, maybe he's turning it on because he knows his value is torpedoing and he might not get what he wants in free agency. But he's pitching well for Arizona. That tells me the message is not getting lost on him. Here, he hasn't overstayed his welcome. This isn't a situation where both sides need to move on for the betterment of everybody. I don't feel that way anymore with what he's done here over these last 7 starts.